Hello students, I Divyanshi Srivastav, your English teacher, is here to explain you the chapter Night of the Scorpion. Okay, as we have studied earlier, that Night of the Scorpion is a poem written by Nizam Ezekiel. Okay, he is the poet. And now the basic motive behind this poem is basically on superstition, right? So now, let's study. I remember the night my mother was stung by a scorpion. 10 hours of steady rain had driven him to crawl beneath a sack of rice. Okay, as in the first paragraph, you can study this, okay? So now, before we study with this explanation, I would just like to give you a small gist of it. As in the starting, the characters that is used in this poem is firstly the poet himself, secondly it's the poet's mother, third one is poet's father, the fourth one is peasants or you can say the villagers, and the basic elements around which this entire poem revolves is your scorpion. And then coming to the theme, as I've told you, superstition. Superstition is basically believing, or you can say blindly believing, or something that you blindly follow without any concept or without any logic. Okay, when you're following anything, then that is the term we are using for superstition. Okay, so now moving back to the poem. For the first paragraph, as it says that I remember the night my mother was stung by a scorpion. Over here, the poet wants to state this thing that he still recalls. He is recalling that specific night when the scorpion has stung his mother. Okay, if you can see the slide, in this slide you see that there is a heavy rain. Okay, suppose just try to visualize actually what would have happened at that time. There was a heavy rain, and the time duration that the poet has mentioned that the rain was continuously raining for near about 10 hours. And what happened at that time? Suppose this lady that you can see, just imagine that this lady is stung by the scorpion that you can see right now. Okay, so now the poet states in this first paragraph that he still remembers that specific night when the scorpion has stung his mother, and she was there on the bed, crawling here and there. She was turning here and there out of that pain. She was not able to bear that pain, and that night is so fresh in front of the poet that he still remembers that day. Okay, and after that he says to crawl beneath a sack of rice, passing with his poison flash. Okay, now what is he saying? That after being stung, like after this very scorpion has bit this lady, the mother, okay, what did he did? He crawled. Crawl ka matlab hota hai rengna, theek hai? What he did over there, that he just managed to hide himself behind a sack of rice. Okay, there was a sack of rice behind which this very scorpion, he crawled and hid himself at that part. Now, in the next paragraph it states, passing with his poison, flash of diabolic tail. In the dark room, he risks the rain. Okay, over here, what is the main intention? Okay, what is the main gist of it is that parting with his poison. What is the meaning of parting with his poison? Parting with his poison means over here that dividing, matlab when the poison that was present in the scorpion, okay, you have seen the scorpion, right? The poison, this very scorpion, he's full of poison, and when this poison is when he had just stung this lady, okay, the poison transferred from this scorpion to this lady. Now whatever the poison was there, whatever the intensity, whatever the ratio of poison that the scorpion was carrying is now gradually transferred to this poet's mother, to this lady who is there. Okay, and then he says the peasants came like a swarm of flies and burst the name of God 100 times to paralyze the evil one. Okay, Now, peasant over here is mentioned to refer the people, okay, the surrounding people, because this entire story is of village, okay. So, peasant is referred to the villagers who were staying nearby. And then the poet says that they came like a swarm of flies. Swarm of flies is a collective noun, okay. It's a collective noun that we use. Or you can say it's a phrase. Okay, over here it has been referred. Now you need to understand one thing, why the poet is specifically referring these peasants as swarm of flies. Just because the people who came to see this lady, okay, the villagers who came, who visited at that night, there was so much in number that actually the exact number couldn't be counted by this poet. So, just for a collectively, he is just giving up as a swarm of flies. And then, when these peasants, when these villagers came to see this lady, when they saw that this lady was groaning, bitterly groaning out of the pain that was there with her, what did they did? They burst the name. Matlab, they started cursing to paralyze that very evil one. Who is the evil one? The scorpion. Who is the evil one? Evil one is the scorpion. And whom are these peasants cursing? These peasants are cursing to the scorpions. Okay? Now, in the next paragraph, with lanterns and with candles and with lanterns, throwing giant scorpion shadows on the mud-baked walls. They searched for him, he was not found. They clicked their tongues with every moment that the scorpion made his poison move in mother's blood, they said. Okay, now see, as in the first paragraph, you have studied that there was an intense rain. It was steadily raining for near about 10 hours. Okay, there was a steady rain for near about 10 hours. And usually what happens, that there is a major cutout, or you can say a major power out. There is a major loss of light at a specific time when it rains, and especially if you're talking about the village condition, when the condition in the village is yet not that developed, that in midst of heavy rain, they are not going to supply you with much of electricity. So there was no electricity at that time. So this was the reason why these peasants were carrying the candles and the lanterns with their self. And what they did, they were throwing those lights, the candles that they were carrying, okay, they were using that candle to look for that scorpion. Because they had this superstitious mentality in them that as and when this very scorpion is going to move, if he is going to crawl from one place to another, then definitely what is going to happen is that the wound, the pain that is there with this mother, it's going to increase with the movement of this scorpion. Are you able to follow what am I saying? That means, see, when that tongue, when that when this phenomenal part, venom is poison, okay? When that venom has been spread in that lady, it got mixed into the blood. And what is the these villagers trying to decode over here is that as and when this very scorpion is going to crawl, okay, the flow of the blood of this very lady, it's going to be more poisonous and it's going to be more painful. Okay, now see, in the next paragraph he says, may he sit still, they said, may the sins of your previous birth be burnt away tonight. They said, may your suffering decrease, the misfortunes of your next birth, they said. May the sum of all evil balance in the unreal world against the sum of good become diminished by your pain. May the poison purify your flesh. Okay, now see, what is the reason or what is the agenda behind writing this or narrating this part? You know, this shows the superstitious mentality or the backward mentality of the peasants who were present. What are they trying to say? That it's good that this very scorpion has bit you. Now, what will happen as a result? the sins that you have committed in your previous birth, or whatever sins till date you have committed, okay, that's going to be deducted. It's good that the scorpion has bit you, and now whatever the sins that you have committed till date, it's going to be purified. And not only your sins, but it is even going to purify your flesh. Whatever wrong deeds you have done, whatever the things which were unholy that you did, now everything is going to be purified. Now, in the last stanza of this poem, what is he trying to say over here is, of desires and the spirit of ambition. Now, the same thing is continuing. The superstitious mentality, the poet is trying to portray the same superstitious mentality that the peasant is carrying. What are they actually doing over here is that they were full of this very arrogantly. They were very much arrogant. They were very much stiff with this thing, that the scorpion that has stung this lady is definitely, it's going to purify it up. It's good that this thing has happened to this lady, and now this lady is going to be purified with every curse that is there. Might be it's a sort of blessing. Okay? Now see. They said and they sat around on the floor with my mother in the center, the peace of understanding on each face. Now have a look towards this picture. Okay? Have a look towards this picture. Over here, this lady is there in the center. Who is there? The mother is there in the center. And the villagers have surrounded her from all the sides. And what is exactly the poet trying to narrate over here is that these people were so much sympathizing. They were full of empathy. They were full of that sympathy, and they were carrying that empathetical attitude in them, that as if they are able to understand that entire pain what my mother is going through. The poet over here is trying to say that they are showing themselves, they are portraying themselves in such a manner as if they are understanding the pain that my mother is going through. And then he says, more candles, more lanterns, more neighbors, more insects, and endless rain. That means swans of flies, matlab they were limited people. Though the poet couldn't count those people, but still they were limited people who encountered at that time. And as and when the time passed by, as and when the conditions started to deteriorate, okay, these people started increasing. The number of people who were all around, they started increasing. Gradually the number started increasing. As a result, there were more candles and more lanterns. Matlab the people who were coming, they were carrying lanterns and candles along with them. Now he says, endless rain. That means the rain didn't stop. It continued raining. It was continuously raining for hours and hours. Okay? Then he says, my mother twisted through and through, groaning on the mat. My father, septic rationalist, trying every cure and blessing. Okay? Now see, when something, like suppose if even a thorn gets into your legs or into your foot, okay, and or if you get hurt, it pains. Now out of that pain, what you do, you get very unease. It makes you very uncomfortable, and you start turning from left to right, or you start moving in a random motion where you cannot express yourself and you cannot narrate it to anyone else. But you are out of that pain. What is coming out is that you are trying to portray, you are trying to just summarize it out that yes, you are in a pain. And how do you portray that? By turning to and fro, or just being unease, in a state of unease you get. And now if you look towards this portrait, suppose, imagine that this portrait that you see is the poet's father, okay? And now what is he trying to do? He's trying to prepare every cure and every blessing. That means every possible thing that the poet's father could do for his wife to get cured. He tried everything. Despite of what the people were saying, he was not discouraged with those things, but the very enthusiasm to cure his very wife, that was there. And what he did, he tried everything that was possible. He kept on shooting on everything that he could make. And the poet over here, he describes that how his father helped his mother to get cured. How did he did? My father, skeptic rationalist, trying every cure and blessing, powder, mixture, herb and hybrid. He even poured a little paraffin. What did he did? The poet's father, he used the powder, mixture, different types of herbs and hybrid. And he even tried the paraffin. Paraffin is a sort of oil, okay? He even tried those things so that just something could work. Something could just make her condition more better. So he just tried everything. And what he did, that with that paraffin, okay, that oil that he was there, okay, he just, where this very scorpion has bit this lady, it was there on her toe. So what he did, he just poured that very paraffin on her toe. And then what happened next was, I watched the flame feeding on my mother. I watched the holy man perform his rites to tame the poison with an incantation. After 20 hours, it lost its sting. Okay, now see. As I have shown you this picture, that there is a holy person even. Okay, this person that you can see over here, he was a person who was performing different incantation, or you can say different rituals he was performing, so that the poison or the effect of the poison could reduce. But that was all the sense of superstition, because see, if something is going to happen to you, if somewhere you're bleeding, okay, if you're going to perform any sort of a ritual, if you're going to perform any sort of a havan, then that's not going to be cured. You need to give that person a first aid. Suppose if you've got a cut and you're bleeding badly, and if you're thinking this thing that with the help of that puja or with the help of incantation and different rituals, that thing is going to be cured, then definitely that is not going to be happening. So this was the scene, or this was the exact mentality of superstition that these people were carrying, that they didn't offer that first aid, but what did they do? They performed those incantations, they performed those rituals to cure this lady. And finally, after 20 hours of long struggle, this very lady got cured. And now, just look towards the very statement that this lady made after getting cured was, my mother only said, thank God the scorpion picked on me and snared my children. Wow. These lines reflect the motherhood, okay, the quality or the love and affection that the mother carries towards his children, okay. And what is she trying to state over here? That it's good that the scorpion bit me. It's good that I have been through that coma. I have been through that unbearable pain. But my children were safe and sound. They didn't been through anything. So this is the amount of affection that she's carrying. So yes, at last I would just like to say this thing, that this poet is completely revolving around superstition and motherhood. Okay, the agape love, or you can say the love that the mother carries for her children, is so big that even when she had been through that unbearable pain for those 20 hours, she has this thing in her heart that it's good that I was the one who had been through it, but not my children. So yes, students, this is completely the poem. I hope you would have understood. Thank you.